Hello, myRockworld fans. We are here in Munich, exclusive interview with 10 years after founding member Ric Lee.
Yeah.
And so welcome to Munich, Ric.
Thank you.
It's a great honor to have such
you.
kind of a great drummer and rock legend for myRockworld. As we all know, you were one of the superstars of Woodstock. But what were your memories of the festival and mainly for the gig of 10 years after?
Well, we arrived at about lunchtime. We'd been in St. Louis the night before, and we left there about 6 in the morning and flew to New York, and then got 2 limousines, took us up to the nearest you could get to the site, which is about 6 miles, a place called Liberty, where the Holiday Inn was a Holiday Inn there, which we were hoping to get some rooms and get some sleep, but all the rooms had gone, and bands were sharing rooms. You know, Janis was there, and I think Grateful Dead were there. You know, everybody was sort of in one room, as it were. So there was no chance of getting any sleep. And as we were about to complain and try and get somewhere else to stay, we were told we were needed to be on stage. Cool. So we went out to get in the cars, and then they told us, well, you can't drive there because all the roads are blocked. So you're going to be going in by helicopter. So we went up this hill where the helicopters were landing, and there was a chopper sitting there with the blades rotating, just about to get on, and these 5 guys and a guy with a pigtail with glasses shoved us out of the way and got on, and I was about to protest, and it turned out it was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and their manager Albert Grossman. So they were going out for an early look at the site. So anyway, we got the next helicopter, and we flew in with a medic who said we shouldn't drink anything from a can that wasn't sealed.
Because it was...
And we shouldn't eat anything that wasn't cooked, because they'd got a beginnings of an outbreak of hepatitis, and they could have had an epidemic if they weren't careful. So they're trying to control that. So that was a good start. Anyway, we flew over, and I mean, it was an absolute gobsmacking moment to see that 300,000 or 500,000 or whatever it was. Nobody seems to know the exact numbers. It was just amazing to look over it all.
Cool.
And then we landed, and there'd been a power cut just before we got there, so there was no cooked food, and we hadn't eaten since we got off the plane. We ate on the plane on the way to New York, so it was probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And anyway, cut a long story short, I watched Joe Cocker's set, which was fantastic.
You watched it?
Yeah. And then just after Cocker finished came the storm, and that was pretty scary. And I mean, when you look at the film now, you can see that the towers for the PA and everything were really very inadequate, and it's a wonder there wasn't a nasty accident. I mean, there's been 2 shows in the recent past, last year I think and this year, where the stages were actually superbly built, and they still collapsed in these storms. You know, so Woodstock was lucky in that respect. Eventually, I think we went on about the reports differ, but it was dusk when we went on. In fact, it was dark. It was dusk when Country Joe came off, because the stage had been live. They couldn't put anything on, because they took them a while to sort out the electrics, because everything had got drenched in water. So Country Joe actually went on and did an acoustic set with no microphones, no nothing, just guitars and percussion instruments, and got the audience to chant with him, which was brilliant. And then later there was power, so they finished off the set electrically. And they came off, as I say, it was dusk. We went on, it was dark. We were the first band to use the stage lights, such as they were, because they hadn't been able to put up what they wanted to. Because in fact the schedule had been moved from Washkill, I think it was, Wallkill, sorry, to the site in Max Yazga's farm. About 2 weeks earlier, they'd had it set up to be somewhere else, and then the permissions had all been cancelled, and the people had been protesting about it.
Did you hear anything as drummer? Was there a PA system for the drummer in back?
Oh, well, the monitors. I don't remember, because I never used monitors till the 80s.
Really?
Never.
That means
I used to sit on the floor.
And watch the feet?
Not on a riser. No, not on a riser.
Okay.
There were no riders. I didn't use riders.
So
risers. I sat on the floor, and I used to have Alvin's stack on my left and Leo's on my right.
Okay.
And Chick's was on the far left.
Yeah.
I used to sit so that my ears were just behind where the speakers were, so I didn't get any ear damage.
Ah, this is cool.
And I still do that these days with the monitors. I don't have them pointing straight at me, I always have them pointing behind me.
Oh.
And luckily my hearing is not too bad.
Yeah.
So, no, there were no monitors. I mean, we were a bit like a jazz outfit, really. We played together, you know, we worked off each other.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a very improvisational band, TYH.
But this is what Tennis After Life is.
Exactly.
It is a big, very tight jam band with great blues numbers. But it's your own style, so if you hear the new live album,
so that's what we always did, and Alvin would work off me, I would work off him, and Leo, you know, and we did Good Morning Little Schoolgirl. I remember we started that 4 times because the atmospherics, it was still very damp from the storm, so the guitars wouldn't stay in tune, and so Alvin kept tuning up, and I mean in those days we didn't have digital tuners, it was all done by ear, so you know, so that was a bit unnerving in front of 300,000 people to keep stopping and tuning. But they were cool. The crowd put up with it, you know.
Cool.
And we went down a storm, as you know, and we couldn't do an encore because time was too tight.
So you were the only band who had no drugs on stage?
No drugs. I wouldn't know. I certainly didn't have any. I don't know whether Alvin did or Leo. I don't think so.
Great.
I wouldn't know. Alvin probably did something in the afternoon, I would guess.
Next question. The last full Tennis After album was released back in 2008. Beyond the 2 brand new re-releases, which is In Concert and Positive Vibrations, which is great. Were you involved
it's recorded
in
live, actually.
Yes.
It's called,
recorded live.
Yeah.
Were you involved in these 2 new things?
Only in the fact that they sent the stuff to us and asked for our approval on it, and we gave it. I was involved in remastering stuff prior to that.
Okay.
I did 10 years after the first album. I did Undead. I found a couple of tracks which weren't on.
You did the 2004
I did.
remixes.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
So then
and I did all the sleeve notes for those as well, and generally brought it all up to date.
Since that time in 2008, you have been busy in touring and also founded. There's a new band which Joe and Leo make with 107 Split.
Yeah.
So a lot of action around. Also your solo stuff, which is cool.
Ric Lee's Natural Born Swingers. Yeah.
Very good. I liked that album.
And I'm working on my autobiography too.
Cool.
Called From Mansfield to Woodstock, and that should be out.
When will it be?
Hopefully next year.
Oh, cool.
I kept saying this year, but I'm virtually there. I'm almost there.
Cool. I think the most asked question nowadays from all 10 Years After fans is, will there be another 10 Years After album?
We hope so. We're working on some ideas for it now. Yeah, so hopefully next year.
Will it be a studio album or more a live album?
Possibly, I would think new tracks but recorded live.
Oh.
Why not? That's the general idea anyway.
Cool. You look back to more than 46 years of 10 Years After history, and you are still known as one of the best live bands around. We have all generations in your audience, also very young people.
Yes.
Which just attend for the first time at 10 Years After concert, which is cool.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason for this great ongoing success?
Well, as I say, I think the thing is that there's always been a demand for 10 Years After, even when we were off the road, you know, in the 90s, and when I remastered the albums in the early 2000s, I phoned Alvin and said, "Shall we get out and promote this?" And he said, "It's not really what I want to do. I'm kind of retired." So I then did a tour with Kim Simmons.
Yes.
And found that there was a demand for the band then. And then the promoter that did that tour said to me, "Was it possible to put 10 Years After together?" So I had to check that we could use the name, which I did, and found that it was possible.
Yeah.
Leo and Chick came with me. We did a tour back in an American guitarist that the Kim Simmons promoter brought in for a tour. And that's when we realised the demand was really quite strong. So then we needed to find a new guitarist, and luckily we found Joe.
which
and
is
then
great
we
because
made an
Joe
album and
is
so on and so
over 10 years now in
That's
the
right.
band.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think everybody says Alvin Lee, but in my opinion, Joe is now a real great member of 10 Years
Oh
After.
yeah, he's come on tremendously. I mean, he's worked hard. You know, he's always playing.
And this has this freshness again, which I think is very good for a blues rock
And I think
band.
that's what's probably attracted some of the younger people too.
Yeah.
I think the variety of material that 10 Years After does as well is what attracts people.
Yeah.
It's not all the same stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of light and shade and different colours.
But you have a great back catalogue of
That's
own
right.
numbers and also numbers you are known for, like Good Morning Little Schoolgirl or others. So the people know that. And as you said, after the remasters came out, I think it was 2004 roundabout.
Something like that,
there was
a bit earlier. But,
it brought back 10 Years After really on the stage, and you are playing lots of concerts in 1 year, which is which I couldn't understand because you're not 20, but you're still rocking on the road. So this is really great. This brings us to the next question. What do you think, Rick, about music today? Because the music business, as we all know, has dramatically changed.
Yeah.
What do you think about music today?
There's a lot of very good stuff around. There's a lot of good young bands coming up. The band that are playing with us on this tour, De Wolf, from Holland, are superb. You know, they're very different, very original. They remind me a little bit of the old Graham Bond organisation.
Really?
From the 60s, yeah.
Cool.
Because of the organ sound, I guess. And they don't have a sax player, of course. But their approach to music, there's a lot of other new bands whose names escape me right now, but there is some good stuff. There's also some terrible dross. You know, with this digital, everything's the same beat. There's no variety.
Mainly for us drummers.
Well, yeah,
it's awesome.
for dancers, you know, for dancing, which is cool. I mean, that's always been there, but some of it is pretty poor. I think, you know. I mean, anybody, whether you can sing or not, can make a record these days.
You're
because
right.
You can do it in your bedroom with digital equipment.
What advice would you give a kid starting out to be a music star now?
Don't.
Really?
No. You have to have belief in yourself. You've got to put yourself, you've got to select the people you're going to work with. You've got to take risks, but you've got to calculate those risks. And if you find a team of people that you work with, like De Wolf, for instance, they are very together within themselves. Yeah. And that's important. They believe in themselves. You've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to keep going, regardless of the odds. You know, because it's tough, and it's tougher now than it was when we started. I think. You know, it's harder. There aren't so many record companies around. People aren't buying records now like they did. Yes. So there's no real income stream from that because downloads are not covering what you used to do in physical product.
So you have to be live. You have to play live.
Yeah, you've got to play live, but then again, there's a cost to that. I mean, it's not cheap to play live now.
That's right. You're right.
So it's very, very hard for a young musician coming out. The upside
is it harder than in the early days?
I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, you can't. We used to fill our van up for £10 and drive the whole of England on that £10. You know? I mean, you can't do that today.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, because the cost of fuel is just so high. In England, a little bit lower here, but it's, you know.
What was your relationship to Alvin Lee in the past years? Up to his death, which sadly
well, that was very sad. It was a big shock. I got on very well with Alvin. He was an awkward person to work with a lot of the time. Had enormous ego, but he also had a terrible insecurity complex, really, which was covered by the ego covered that. He was comfortable as a one-to-one. He wasn't very comfortable in crowds. I think that made him which is what made him a little difficult, you know. Okay. Very temperamental. Some days you wouldn't know what you were going to do or what it was going to be like. Some of the shows you didn't have a clue where you were going or what you were doing.
I read about.
But other times, he was fantastic. He was on the ball.
I read about 10 years after in the news on your website that mainly always split the band in January. Every January the band split.
Well, it kind of got like
Was
that
it right?
towards the end, yeah.
But I think mainly this is
I know
in
it
all
was in
bands.
January, but I mean he was always going solo.
Okay. If possible, please tell us a funny or cool tour bus secret which nobody knows about 10 years after.
I don't know if I can think of any. Not a tour bus secret. I don't know. I don't really have anything, I'm afraid.
No problem.
Yeah.
If you don't have
You
a
caught
secret.
me out on that one.
Cool. At last, some words to your fans, please.
Oh, I mean, just great appreciation for them appreciating us. You know, it's fantastic the support that we get from fans. You know, long may it last. I mean, it's amazing. Without them, we can't do anything.
Are there plans? Because I saw that you were playing in July. You were on a big tour with Ric and other bands in USA.
Yeah.
Is there a plan to do it in Germany also?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I doubt it.
Because the idea of putting bands together as like a mini festival touring, this was the same like in the 60s, which you...
Yeah, except that there were too many bands on that show.
Yeah.
There should have been 3, there were 5.
Was it too
so
much?
That meant everybody got a very short time to play, which I don't think is fair on the audience.
So you were just 40 minutes
40
on stage?
minutes, yeah, I mean, we're telling
it's a
you,
little
that's
too
5
less.
songs.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe
so one song
bands,
if you do a jam song.
Yeah. Three bands would have made it, I think, work better. But it was fun anyway, and the people that came loved it, and we had a great time with them, you know.
Last question to you as a drummer. Are you playing and rehearsing every day on drums for yourself?
I practice, I'm going back now I'll do a half an hour on my practice pad, yeah.
So you do it every
in
day?
the room. I have to, yeah. And I do a half an hour stretching as well for all of my body. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to.
So
I mean,
all
the
young
older
drummers,
you get, the harder it gets too.
all young drummers should train every day.
Yeah. I've just given my workout routine to Luca, who plays with DeWolf.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I said, have a look at that.
So thank you, Ric.
Thank you.
Great. And hope to get the book next year of Ric Lee, the biography. We're very proud of. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Good to meet you.